years. We are excited and blessed to be able to give this to our community at large. We have sent this out in many platforms, but we want people to be well informed. And I bring my years of experience, personal experience and professional experience as it relates to health insurance. And I just want to give you a sneak peek into the 7 things your health insurance company may not want you to know when you receive information from them, from your employer, or whether you apply. So we're going to move right along. I'm going to start with my why. I have 3 amazing, beautiful children, but these grandchildren, Mrs. Baltimore, Dr. Baltimore can tell you, are the apple of your eye, of my eye. They are so amazing. If I had known it was going to be this great, I would have had grandkids first. So with that, and then my husband, my college sweetheart, is here and partner with me in business. And you will see in this quick video how I have almost all my kids a part of Live Your Best Years. The only one is Tony Jr., but we said since he shares the namesake, then he could interchange with his dad. Here we go.
They were all gifted and experienced in various aspects of health. I knew we were all made a very powerful team, and together we will allow the community to live their best years. My name is Donna.
All right. This is our family healthcare initiative focused on prevention. And we believe that we want to give everyone all the tools that they need in order to live their best years. So I'm going to give you my experience of over 4 decades of healthcare experience. When I was 14, I was in an Explorers program at the Medical College of Ohio, where we allowed people who want to be in the healthcare or medical field to explore the field. So I had that at 14. I was a summer intern in the chemistry at Bowling Green State University at the age of 15, graduated high school at the age of 16. I was a certified nurse's assistant at the age of 21, chemistry pre-med major in college throughout, and I ended up finishing up with a bachelor's in business administration, ran a home healthcare division for a group of neurologists, founded iCare, Home Care Services, in 1993, and assisted living facility administrator. So that means I can operate a community or facility. And I'm also founder and CEO of Live Your Best Years, LLC. So that gives my background. And so what I want to also do is, before we get into those 7 things that your insurance company may not want you to know, I want to talk about health insurance. And these are a few interesting facts. Health insurance was generally, as we know it, began with the Great Depression in the 1930s. The Great Depression led to hospitals and physicians to implement forms of insurance as a means of payment. They knew that was a really, really critical time. And then fast forward, Medicare was introduced in 1965 to provide coverage for older citizens. And it mimicked the private coverage common at that time. And so commercial insurances started aggressively trying to see how they could get into that market as well, even for people younger than the age 65. But literally that there was some competition going on then. And then in the 1980s, we saw a development of managed care. One of the largest managed care companies that most of us know about is Kaiser. And that's when we saw a real growth and surge. And so everyone was getting into a very needed and competitive market. And as you can see later on, there's been some backlash because the prices were going up, even though they said it was managed care. And then more recently, in 2010, the Affordable Care Act, that's where we saw the thrust to get as many people covered as possible and not necessarily be linked to your employer. So we're going to dig right on in. And I want to mention, we're going to start, the number one thing is incapacitation determination is an option. Many people don't know about this, but this is an opportunity. If you have children or grandchildren under the age of 26 and they become ill, and ill to the point where they may need care beyond the time that they are on your health insurance, you can file what's called an incapacitation determination form with your insurance carrier, and this will allow them to be on your health insurance beyond the approved age of 26. So if whatever ailment it is, if they need to be on until 40, they are still covered. Many people don't understand or know that, and it is not readily available, and you don't see it in your insurance papers. And if you find out that you're in a situation similar to this, you can certainly reach out to me and I can certainly give you more information. So number one is I. Number two is V. Verify your coverage before procedures 3 times. Why do I say 3 times? Because the first person you talk to from your insurance company may be well-versed, they may be interpreting your plan a certain way. Call a second time on a second day and see if you can get the same answer. Because when you're going to go into surgery or have a procedure, many of these procedures cost thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, and you want to make sure that it is a covered benefit. 3, a third time on the third day is important, because oftentimes if you talk to 2 people, you're going to get 2 different answers. You want to verify that third time. Again, we provide advocacy and we help in these solutions. But if you have a loved one or you have someone in the health insurance industry or in the billing or in the medical industry that is well versed, you can certainly have them do it as well. 2 is V, IV. 3 is E, explanation of benefits, EOBs. You see it sometimes it's yay thick, it comes in the mail and it looks like gibberish. You're looking through and you're saying, oh my goodness, what is this? These are the procedures that they were doing. I didn't see this. It's almost like looking at your bank statement or your credit card statement. It is extremely important because we have human error, we have situations that occur that people will bill for services. They may get you confused, unfortunately, with someone else and put that you had apparatus for a knee replacement, but you really had a hip replacement. It could be a number of things, but you need someone well-versed in understanding the explanation of benefits to really go through with a fine-tooth comb. Sometimes most of the mistakes are inadvertent. And like I said, they're based on human error. We want to make sure that we are aware and that we evaluate, look these over, or find an advocate or a professional that can do that for you. So we said I, V, E, Y. You can go out of network if there are no in-network providers for in-network rates. Most insurance companies right now, especially commercial carriers, they have what's in network and what's out of network. And if I am going to the doctor and I have an ailment that needs something that the in-network provider doesn't have, they're not doctors that do that, like a neural ophthalmologist, let's say, for example, and I go down my list and I don't see one. Then I can look to the out-of-network provider, and there is one. Well, because they didn't have one in network, I can petition to get the in-network rates. Many people don't know, and what they end up doing is they end up paying the 80-20, or the insurance pays 80 and you have to pay the 20 instead of it being 100%. So those are things that people just really don't know. They say, well, if it's not in network, I'll just go out of network and pay more. Well, it depends. That is not always the case. Again, if you have a healthcare provider, someone in the field that understands and can advocate for you, that's ideal. C, custodial care is generally not covered by Medicare or most health insurances. What is custodial care? Custodial care is care that is done, that can be done by a licensed CNA, a home health aide, or even your family member. That means bathing, dressing, preparing your meals, helping remind you about medication, taking you to the store, washing your dishes, cleaning the area you're in. All of those services, while we call them healthcare, the insurance looks at that as custodial care. So that is why they do not cover it. They cover what's considered healthcare, and healthcare is considered physical, occupational, speech therapy services that have a limit, and they're only visit oriented. So that means the person comes in for a visit and leaves. Custodial care is long-term. It could be 4, 6, 8 hours a day, 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week. And that is not covered by health insurance. And some people realize that it's covered by long-term care insurance or private pay. A, advocates. Advocates are needed to communicate with insurance and case managers while you or your loved one is healing. Many people, I've been in the healthcare field 44 years, if you can, so you all know now I'm 58. So 14 and 44 is 58. And I literally had a situation occur where, with all the experience I had, I needed a napkin and didn't even know it. So I had a bee sting that swelled up really, really badly. I went to urgent care 2, 3 times. It kept giving me steroids. It kept getting bigger and bigger. I was getting sick. I ended up being admitted to the hospital, and I was trying to tell the doctor, I really need you to understand this is not normal for me. I've never been stung by a bee, and so forth and so on. I mean, it went on and on and on, and he was just like not hearing me. He was like, well, you know, this is just what normally happens. And I had the most amazing angel advocate, and her name is Ashley, and she's my oldest daughter. And she came in and she just was very frank and said, this is what she needs. This is how she's been. And I need to know what you can do to help her get to where she was before. So it doesn't matter what field you're in. It doesn't matter how old you are. Every single individual needs an advocate, someone who can advocate for them, because when you are not feeling well, you cannot be your own advocate. I mean, think about you when you have a cold or something. You can't advocate for yourself. It's extremely difficult. So it is really, really important to have an advocate. And M, this is our last one. This is number 7. Make preparation for discharge on the first day of admission. Your insurance company is doing so. So when you are admitted to a hospital or a facility, a nursing home or assisted living facility, or not necessarily assisted living, but hospital, nursing home, or any facility where you're going to be for a short period of time, make sure, especially with health insurance paying for it, make sure that you have an advocate or someone who is working with the case manager and the insurance company to plan your discharge, because I have seen situations personally and professionally where people are put out of the hospital way earlier than they need to be, or they stay longer than they need to be. It's usually they're put out earlier. Now, of course, we're in COVID-19 and all rules have changed now. Your hospitalization is going to be extremely brief if you're able to get in at this point. But for all intents and purposes, the majority of the time, the insurance companies, it's designed that they want to save money, so they will do what they can do to talk to the case manager, the nurse, the doctor to see, how's Jane doing? Is she really walking? Did you just see her walk around that room? She really doesn't need to be in that room. She really doesn't need to be here. That's what having an advocate makes sure that you get exactly what you need, and then you get out when you need to get out to move to the next level of care. Keep in mind with hospitals, and as we're finding out now, while they are a really good place for really urgent situations, you don't want to necessarily stay longer than you need to, because there's risk of illness and infection even in a hospital. So you want to be mindful of that. Okay, so in summary, I know we can all spell, so you'll see a familiar name in here. So in summary, incapacitation determination is an option, and I'm more than happy to go into more detail about that. If you IM me or chat with me later if you need it. Verify your coverage before procedures 3 times. Explanation of benefits is like looking at your bank statement or your credit card statement. You really need to read every single word and know what's going on. You can go out of network if there are no in-network providers for in-network rates. Custodial care, that's a new word that people are not very familiar with. When you call your insurance companies, make sure you ask, do you cover custodial care, not nursing? Custodial care is generally not covered by Medicare or most health insurance. And advocates are needed to communicate with insurance and case managers while you or your loved one is healing, and then make preparation for discharge on the first day of admission, because that is what your insurance company is doing. All right, and you knew we were going somewhere. Anyone that knows me knows I love acronyms and spelling. So Ivey, you see Ivey and Live Your Best Years, you see Ivey CAM. We've got our eye on you. And so in the event that you don't have an advocate and you do need one, I am certainly available. I do consulting, advocacy, and management. And it's just to really make sure that you live your best years. Life expectancy now can be anywhere 100 to 120. We want you to get there. That is our goal as a company. And so with that, we've had one session with Mr. Tony Ivey, project engineer, home modification management already. You're here for mine today. We have 3 helpful, delicious breakfast ideas. I cannot wait for that one by Ashley Ivey, health coach and helpful chef. And then my middle baby, April, licensed clinical social worker, she will do the power of positivity to create a lifetime of change. So I am ready for questions.